Teachers need to take seriously the importance of helping students identify and use text structures. From the very beginning, I think teachers need to highlight the fact that texts are organized differently than stories are organized, and then to show students in some very clear text how a text is organized for informational material.
So I'd like you to think about what this kind of writing might be. What kind of text do you think this might be? And what kind of strategies are we going to use to unlock the meaning of this text? So if you think you might know what this kind of writing is, I want you to just think about it for a second. I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor what kind of writing this is. What kind of writing is this?
It's
Who would like to share? What kind of writing do you think this is? By now you should know. Alan?
I think it's like descriptive writing about pandas.
Descriptive writing about pandas? Excellent. What else? Somebody else. What kind of writing is this? This is going to be fiction or nonfiction? Matt?
Nonfiction.
It's nonfiction. What's going to make it nonfiction, Matt? What do you think?
It's going to be facts.
It's going to have a lot of facts in it? Great. What else? What else have you seen in this piece of writing? Just from me holding it up, tells you that this is going to be nonfiction. What else? What do you think? Javier?
The pictures.
Facts and pictures. And tell me what else you see in this piece of nonfiction that a lot of times you do see in nonfiction. Lisa Marie?
There's a map.
There's map. Right. I think there's two maps, actually. Right. So these are some things that we know about nonfiction text. Facts, sometimes maps, charts, pictures. Great. Good job.
Once they have identified the pattern, then they can even find that in more complicated texts where these patterns are interwoven. And students can begin to use graphic organizers and relate the graphic organizer to the particular text pattern so that they can use perhaps a Venn diagram for a compare-contrast text pattern. Then while they're reading, they can take notes using that pattern organizer and then later learn to write using the same patterns themselves.
This Panda article is an example of the cause and effect text structure. The teacher skillfully guides the class, highlighting key points with the use of a graphic organizer.
Remember that when we're trying to find what's important in a story, do we write down everything? Are we going to write down every single word? What are we going to do here with this graphic organizer that we've used before? It actually says right on here, if you want to look at your graphic organizer, it tells you what you're supposed to be writing down. Tony, what do you write down?
Keywords and phrases.
Keywords and phrases. So we're not going to write everything down, okay, because that'll be very confusing. And why do we need to know what's important? Why do we need to know this? Javier?
So you can understand the story.
Exactly. So you can understand the story better. So we're going to take keywords and phrases, we're going to write them on our graphic organizer, and then only after we've done that, we'll figure out what is one important idea from the story.
Today I was doing a lesson on how to read nonfiction, the structure of the text of nonfiction, and it was an article about pandas and the fact that they're facing extinction. And so I was using strategies for my students to unlock the meaning of the text, to figure out what was important. And we used a graphic organizer to determine what was important in the story.
It may seem uncomfortable to content area teachers, but they really do need to explicitly teach students these text structures because they're not familiar to students. We have a lot of data that says that the patterns have not been highlighted enough for students, and they haven't read enough on their own that they internalize the sense of organization of expository material. So it's very important that teachers highlight these and teach them directly.